Hello everyone, welcome back, and thank you for joining us on the Live Unreal with Glover U podcast, where every week Jeff Glover will dive deep into the questions that you are asking. He understands the challenges you are facing on a day-to-day basis because he still works every day on the front lines of real estate, with him and his team closing over 1,000 homes per year. In today's episode, we will be interviewing Glover U coaches on the importance of having a coach not just in your career, but in all aspects of your life. You will learn from Jeff and his team why coaches who are still in production make the best coach. Now let's hear from Jeff Glover and his team.
We've asked a few of our coaches to join us on the stage because we want to ask some of the questions. For those of you, whether you've been involved in coaching or not, we want to know, okay, what are you experiencing? What are your coaches going, or what are your clients going through right now? What are the agents that you're working with experiencing? What are the struggles that they're having? How are they winning? How are they losing? What are they failing at? How are you overcoming it? So our thought behind this was to really, it would almost be like having an entire panel, one after another, because they work with so many different clients. So they can share experiences that they're hearing and that they're dealing with and that their clients are dealing with. So do me a favor, and if you guys are ready backstage, I hope you are, because we are going to bring out our coaches. We have Jolynn Morsica, Anthony Bertrand, Christina Griffin, and Kate Simon. Come on out, guys. That's it. When people ask, okay, what is a coach's job? All right, what is the job of a coach, and what am I going to get out of coaching? Well, we found a cool video that shows that in a different sport, if you will, because this real estate sales is a sport. We found a cool video that shows essentially what a coach's job is and what it can do for the player. He was only told he was going 50, but yet he was able to accomplish 100. Because a coach can see something in you that you can't see in yourself, and they can find a way to bring it out of you, which is exactly what took place there, and exactly why we choke up every time we see that video. Was that your first time seeing it?
No.
Yeah, it's every time. I mean, I still get chills.
It does. It makes me cry.
All right. Okay, so let's go down the line. We'll start in the end with Anthony Bertrand, if you would. Just introduce yourself, how long you've been in the business, how long we've been working together. And, you know, of course, we got to follow with the theme of the zodiac sign. Everyone's curious now. That's like our thing. That's like our shtick.
I just found out what my zodiac sign was this morning. Just joking, but I've been in the business for about 8 years. I've been working with Jeff for 6 of those years. On average right around 50 deals per year during that duration.
And you're doing around 50 transactions a year, mostly from what source?
Expireds for sale by owners, so all new business, not really a lot of past clients.
And you've always been a very prospecting-heavy agent.
Correct.
And which is one of the reasons why you run a lot of our prospecting groups. That's kind of your niche.
Exactly.
Yep. And what is your zodiac sign?
Sagittarius.
Okay, good. Yeah, he just found that out. All right, good. Jolynn.
Hi, I'm Jolynn. I have been with Jeff for 10 years now, since that team started. Very exciting. I am an Aries, yeah. And what more would you like to know?
Aries, you know, they're hot and cold. Right?
Yeah,
high,
you're absolutely right.
So you are doing, what I love about your business is I think that you take just as many listings as weddings and showers that you attend.
Yeah. Yes.
Is that true?
You know, we were just talking about this earlier.
You try to match those two numbers up each year?
What is more fun than going to an event with a ton of friends, family, and working it, getting business from it? So I am not like Anthony. I'm not super, prospecting heavy. Yeah, I do it. I know how to do it.
Yeah.
But I'd much rather be in front of people and talking to them and, just like this.
Yeah. Well,
that's
good.
where I shine.
Yep.
And I average about 50 transactions a year.
Yep.
So majority of my business is my sphere, referrals, and it's awesome.
And by the way, for the both of you, 50 a year is a solid number. I mean, that is a big business, especially for other markets that have higher sales prices than we experience in Detroit. 50 units a year is not, I mean, in most audiences, when you go to events like this, less than 10% of the room does over 50 units a year. Did you guys know that?
Sure.
It's very
and
common.
I could do more. I know this, but I really enjoy having a really good work-life balance.
Yep.
Because I'm not the person that's pleasant when I'm like overrun and super tired, and it's not pretty. So you got to keep it pretty to succeed in the business.
Yep. And one thing, and we'll continue on, of course, we're very strict with, if you haven't figured this out yet, we have some very simple criteria to be a Glover U coach. It's just not it's just not easy to get there. You have to be selling over 50 homes a year in our system for 5 years in a row to be considered, all right? So we have some great agents at JGA that say, hey, I want to be a coach, I want to be a coach. Well, you have to be in our world for at least 5 years, and you have to sell 50 homes a year for at least 5 years in order to be eligible, or we do make some exceptions to the rule. Once we find agents that are producing at over 100 transactions a year, we will make an exception there and teach them our system and so forth, which you'll hear that in a moment. But no, I'm glad you guys are up here, and I appreciate you sharing that. Kate Simon, please.
Hi, I'm Kate Simon. I've known Jeff, I think we just had our Facebook friend-iversary.
Friend-versary.
It was like 10 or 11 years, I don't know, one of them.
More than that, Kate. So now, maybe we weren't on Facebook back then, but we met.
No, we were. Yeah.
Your dad brought you to an event in
Correct.
2007 that I was training.
Yeah.
And you sat in the audience and
Pre-JGA, pre-team.
pre-everything. You were still in college.
You guys should have seen Jeff when he was like 21.
Oh,
He
yeah.
thought it was really cool.
Oh, sure. I bet. Okay. Keep going. This is about you.
All right,
Go.
so all right, so when Jeff started the team, me and his sister, we were his first ISAs. You know, he threw us in a cube with a stack of numbers and said, "Here's a script, figure it out, kid." Right? And I think, either before college or in between college, and after that summer, I made up my mind and I said, "This is exactly what I want to do. This is my passion." Joined his team, started selling. A couple years into it, moved out to California, built a business out there for 5 years. And then most recently, less than a year ago, moved back here to help grow and develop Glover U full-time.
Yeah, and by the way, you are overly qualified for that, because not only were you there for the beginning years, but you had taken what we taught you and moved across the country to the West Coast and developed a business on the West Coast on your own. Right? So we had always had conversations. Kate, you got to come back. You got to come back. We're going to figure out a way. I know there's going to be a day that we're going to be back in business. And in the back of my mind, I knew that it was going to be something in relationship to a program like we're teaching today, the sales system like we're teaching today, because you were there from day one. You went out and applied it, and then so you've seen both sides, right? You know what it's like taking our stuff and applying it. And so I appreciate you for that.
Hi, my name's Christina Griffin. I'm from Tampa, Florida. I'm the
that's her husband.
No, that's my one friend in the room. No. So I run a large team. We sell a little over 500 homes a year. We're in 10 different market centers, and I personally have sold over 4,000 homes. I would say my specialty is transformational coaching. I've been through a lot. So for me, it's not just about the business. However, I can coach to any level, whether it's, creating a team, you run a large team, you are a single agent. However, my passion is helping you get through the things that are going on in your life, because regardless if you're going through a divorce, cancer, you are struggling with your weight, depression, you still have to pay your bills. And a lot of us become victims, and really truly being able to learn how to overcome the victim mindset and be able to still focus on that greater good of taking care of your family or yourself is important. So, I have a lot of diversity, I guess you would say.
Yeah, you do. Yep. For those of you that were at the summit in Battle Creek this January, you got a chance to share your entire story, which we've put bits and pieces of that online now, so you can go find that if you want to hear it. So thank you. Let's hear it for our coaches, our panelists. Thank you. So I'm going to start off with some general questions, and then I want to get into some specifics about agents that you're working with, our coaching clients that are having successes and wins and what they're doing. So let's just start off with some basics. So whether I have a coach or not, or whether I'm thinking about getting into coaching, we saw the video. I mean, obviously, if you're coaching with me, yes, it's that intense. All right, so that's why I don't coach anymore, because everyone quits. But no, really, what does a coach do? Like, we know what a coach does in sports. What does a coach do in real estate?
Well, I think we're all different, and we have to coach people to who they are. However, our goal, mine is to help people, empower them to be the best version of what they can be. Everyone has a different goal in mind, and everyone's income and their dreams are different. So it's really empowering them to achieve their goals and become the best version of themselves.
Yes,
that's what I do.
Okay, love it. What else? What does a coach do for me? Why do I need a coach?
Yeah, I think honestly it's a lot of what Christina said, and sometimes clients will come to us with one specific goal, like, oh, I want to sell 100 houses this year, and we start kind of getting into the nitty-gritty, and through self-discovery, through self-awareness, they come back and say, oh my gosh, that's not even that important to me anymore. I want to go do this thing over here, and oh, by the way, this is my passion. So sometimes our coaching clients come to us with a specific thought or goal out of coaching, but through self-discovery, through asking the right questions, through helping them kind of grow through stuff, they grow into a different, better version of themselves as well. So I think it's honestly, it's about like uncovering those layers, polishing that stone, and really helping them see themselves in a whole new light so that they can ultimately succeed.
Yep, love that. Do you guys want to add anything to that?
Yep, yeah, and just to build on that, I mean, we're ultimately helping our clients find their why. They need to know why they're doing this, what they're doing, why it's important to them, who they're doing it for, because that's something that also changes. So as that changes over time, we have to adapt to them, provide the tools, the resources, everything that they need in order to meet those goals.
So interesting you say that, because most agents, when we tell them they have to have a strict schedule and we tell them they have to prospect and they have to stick to it, not just 1 day a week, but 5 days a week, most of them that struggle with it, it's because they don't know why they're doing it. Meaning they know it's, we get this all the time as coaches. I want to make 100 grand a year. I want to make 6 figures. I want to make 500, right? They know a number, right? They think that coming to us with a number is the answer, and that's not the answer. Right. It's why is that number important to you? What will you do with that extra income? And the reality is if you're making $100,000 a year and you say you want to make $200,000 a year, if you can't visualize what your life will be like at 200, you won't take the steps that are necessary to get there. If you can't understand what you will do with the difference of a $8,000 a month income versus a $16,000 a month income, if you're not sure what you would do with that doubling up on that income, then you won't put in the stress and the hours and the intensity. You won't go through that process if you don't know why. So I appreciate you saying that, because that is the biggest challenge we have.
Yeah, and just to add on to that really quickly, I think it's really important for everybody to know that when you are looking into a coach, it's not because you have to hit a number or you have to hit an income. This can be about utilizing your time better, about finding more time with your family. I mean, it's very broad, so that's one example, but be open-minded to what it can really do.
Yeah, we have clients that come to us and say, hey, honestly, I want to keep my income where it's at. I'm happy at 80 a year or 120 a year or 200 a year, but I want to get more of my time back. Can you help me with that? And we've got some great examples of people that we've been able to do that for.
And just to add to that, I think these ladies, for the most part, covered it, but just to add to that, a coach is going to help you identify where you are, so that way we can put together a plan to help you get where you want to be. Right? A lot of agents, they don't look at themselves as business people, so we need to kind of break down those expenses, because there's a difference between netting and grossing $200,000.
Yes.
Right? So how can we help you profit?
Yep.
And that's what we're obviously here to do, is help you profit, not just gross a great number. And you still have all these expenses, but help you obviously keep that money in your pocket.
Yeah, which is a big deal, because we see it, and that's probably one of the downsides of this industry. For some reason, the brokerages, including ours, by the way, we have to compete with recognition. Everyone's giving recognition and more recognition and more recognition. So the industry has become all about recognition on numbers and GCI and units and homes sold. And the reality is nobody's actually saying, Well, what about profit? What about the net? And of course that's, and by the way, when we say, I'm asking a lot of these questions, of course we're a little biased because we would want you to get involved with us at a deeper level, but it doesn't even have to be us. You can go hire any coach for that matter. I mean, a lot of these answers they're going to give are similar answers to any coaching company. I mean, we'd love it to be us, but it doesn't have to be. Awesome. So let's shift gears a little bit. Talk to me about, obviously you guys still have coaches or are being coached by someone. What does that look like? And why do you still keep a coach? You're at the point where you're coaching other people. Why would you still need a coach?
Do you want me to kick it off?
Sure.
Well, obviously, Jeff personally coaches me in regards to kind of leadership and growing Glover U. And sometimes those conversations are awesome and sometimes they're not awesome.
Like this morning's?
Correct, right? But here's the thing, like I've known Jeff for 11 years and I wholeheartedly trust him. So when he comes back to me and says, you need to work on X, Y, and Z, I completely absorb it and I completely take it. And like, he is my coach. He is the person that I take that criticism from. I mean, I think, actually, Sunshine, you sent me this meme a couple weeks ago. It's funny. It said something along the lines of, don't take constructive criticism from somebody who's never constructed anything. And like,
I like that.
Jeff's my coach. Like, sorry, but he is the one where I am locked into the feedback, good, bad, right, or wrong. So he obviously coaches me in a business sense. And then, some of you know me, some of you don't know me, but I'm super into fitness. And I have a professional bodybuilder who coaches me every single week. And even this morning, Christina's husband was in the gym with me, like kicking my butt. And, one more. He was literally doing that video. Yeah. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like I won't be able to write today. My arms are so sore. But I think it's really important to understand where your own mental limits are, because I even said to her husband, Sean, I said, oh my gosh, if I was training on my own, I would have gave up 3 sets ago, right? Like we're not perfect either. We still need coaches as well. And I think it comes down to having the self-awareness to know what you know about yourself and getting somebody to call you on your crap and then take you a couple steps further. Yeah. To me, that's why I have a coach.
Yep. I walked into the gym this morning, by the way, and I kind of saw Kate out of the corner of my eye, and I quickly beelined it to the treadmill. Yeah, I was like, I'm not getting involved in what they're doing because I know what they're going to say.
My husband's a little intense.
Yeah, they're doing like deadlifts and squats, and I just did a leisurely jog on the treadmill, minding my business.
To the treadmill.
Yeah. By the way, the gym was a little more empty this morning compared to yesterday morning. I wonder why that was. Okay. Anything you want to add to that?
So I have a really great coach. Jeff coaches me as well. And with Jeff, and I also have I'd say a spiritual personal coach that helps for personal development. What I would tell you is, on a business level, having a coach for me that, again, can call me on my BS, that cuts through the garbage is super important. Mm-hmm. And for me, personally, having a coach, I needed someone that does it bigger than I do.
Yep.
And that's why I believe what drew me to Jeff is coaches are still in production. And a lot of coaching companies, they're not still in production, so they're not on the ground. So they're relying on the people that they coach to tell them how to do the business. So that was a big thing for me, is I needed a coach that did it bigger and better and thought larger than I did.
Yeah.
And so that.
And can I tell you why? I don't mean to interrupt, but can I tell you why that's important? Because I know it's one of the things we're going to get to. It's really hard to have, we talk all the time, and we've been hearing this for years. I referenced it in the video this morning. You have to believe in one thing and have blind faith. The challenge is, and I think this is why a lot of agents get into coaching and say, well, that didn't work, is because they don't have the blind faith and the belief that it's what they need. They don't have the blind faith to trust the advice that they're given. Mm-hmm. And that's why we're so passionate about being in production.
Yep.
You don't have to question anything. We're doing it. This isn't something we invented 10 years ago. We're on the ground selling with you every single day.
I agree.
And that helps keep the blind faith there because of the production.
Right? I agree, and I personally am very coachable, and but for me it's business and personal. So I believe having that the personal help as well is important. So I'm It just helps me grow as a person and a leader.
Yep.
But I do believe that we're the sum of the 5 people we surround ourselves with. And I have 5 men in my world that kick my butt and inspire me on a day-to-day basis. So, you know, I believe when we're around people that think bigger, that's part of what like our coaching community and things like that. When you're around people that think bigger and they inspire you to want to be the best version of yourself, it's important. And I'll always have a coach, and it just helps me get to that level.
Yep, got it. Okay. Did you want to add something?
Well, just to add to that, I mean, my belief is that in order to teach a commitment to growth, you have to have a commitment to growth, right?
Yep.
So we have to be held accountable to being able to grow every single day as well if we're teaching it.
Yes.
That's the reason I have a coach.
You can't just read from a book.
Exactly.
Right? You can't just, you know, read a script and say, here's what the book says you should be doing. No, this is what I do, and this is what we do, so here's what you should be doing.
Right.
Great.
You know, and building that environment of accountability is obviously one of the most important things you can do in order to grow. So, you know, with Jeff as my coach, one thing that I found most important to me and what I found to be most beneficial was the fact that he and I are like complete opposites, right? So
100%.
we used to battle.
Yes.
Oh, we used to battle. He's like, oh, it's 7:30. Why aren't you in the office?
Right.
I'm like, because I'm drinking my cup of coffee and starting my day on a good
Yeah.
foot, right? So after what, 4 years, finally I get a picture text from him in the morning with a cup of coffee and his feet up, and I was like, "Hey,
I'm learning versatility."
And now, yes, both. It's a beautiful relationship.
Yep.
But you know, then all of a sudden he's coming in the office a little more relaxed and with a smile on his face every day, not just pounding the phones. So yeah, it's a good thing to do. But I feel like I don't know. I've learned a lot from him because time management, you know, I'm an expressive, I'm all over the place, something shiny, there I am.
Yep.
But he has kept me in line with that, and I've taught him, like, hey, you know, build your relationships and enjoy that stuff.
Yeah.
And here we are. So,
Yeah.
all good stuff.
Love it.
All good stuff.
Thank you for sharing that I'm no longer intense. I don't get into the office on time.
Oh, no. That's not what I'm saying.
I'm relaxed, smiling. Okay. Question. When you're being coached, okay, is there like assignments? Is there homework? And what if my coach gives me advice on something and I don't take action on it? What does that whole process look like?
There you go.
Well, there's always going to be homework because we need to be implementing what we're teaching, right? So when I go back and when I'm being coached, when I'm, you know, losing my skills in some areas, then that's what I'm going to focus on. So when it comes to scripts, okay, guess what? We're going to write them again. We're going to role play them again. We're going to do these things to implement what we're being taught. And there's no right or wrong for what your homework's going to be because it's going to be really tailored to you as to how you're going to excel in that field based on the topic that we're studying at that point in time.
Yep.
So I also think it kind of depends on the person, and this is why, you know, I think all of us have this relationship with our clients where it's very personal. I mean, you know, obviously on paper it's 30 minutes a week, but, you know, I at least would hope all of my coaching clients, you know, can say that, you know, I know them on a personal level and vice versa. And, you know, Nick, we were actually having this conversation on our hike the other day where, yes, there's homework, but there's also this dance between knowing how far and when to push someone and knowing when to kind of take your foot off the gas, right? Like, you've got to know when it's time to kind of like say, listen, this is going to be a tough conversation, tough call. And as a coach, you also have to learn how to dance with where they're at. Right? Because you can't go super hard all the time. Otherwise, they're not growing, you're not growing, and you guys are out of relationship. So it's, yes, there's always homework, but the homework doesn't always look like it's charging forward 100% of the time. That doesn't mean there's not growth there, though, if that makes sense.
Yep. Love it. Anybody else want to add to that one?
I would say just with the homework aspect, it's kind of like we're the fine line between the grade school teacher and the professor, right?
Yeah,
To where
sure.
the professor is going to give you an assignment and it's up to you to do it, right? But at the same time, the grade school teacher is going to make sure you did it every single day. So we're kind of like the fine line between those two to where we're going to make sure you're implementing things that you should know based off of the goals that you told us that you wanted to achieve, and obviously give you assignments based off of those, like Jolene said.
Yep. Great. Thank you, guys. Can you give us some examples of successes or the benefits that agents receive from being coached? Do you have any personal examples? I mean, you don't have to name names, but do you have some specific examples that you guys can share?
Sure.
How it will be beneficial, you know, that type of thing.
multiple clients that I've shown them how to create leverage. So where they have struggled with that, and allowing them to help them put systems in place. It could be VAs or admins, but be able to really understand what your dollar per hour is. And that when you are doing things like posting a house on Facebook may not be your highest dollar per hour. So, you know, for me, I've seen a lot of success lately in creating leverage and thinking outside the box. I do that a lot with my own personal lead gen for my team. So being able to teach someone how to do things different. And I love that you mentioned yesterday, because my clients will tell you that I talk about this a lot, is I really believe the face-to-face, the door knocking for expireds instead of on the phone is the way to go.
And by the way, it's I can't wait to see these studies come out, but there are studies that are starting to say that it's going to become, as we become more digitally connected, the face-to-face stuff will actually become more effective. Isn't that, it's such a kind of oxymoron, but the reality is because consumers will actually value that experience because they're so used to this experience now.
Well, and you know, it's leveraging systems, and you know, like I do a lot of pre-foreclosures, through Land Voice and other systems like that. So our agents can literally log in and see where they need to go because they can segment the area, but it allows them to think out of the box. You don't have to spend tons of money on leads, and you know, but I've seen a lot of success with that face-to-face. You know, a cheesy door hanger on an expired, you get more calls than, because people are normally at work all day, and they get 50 plus phone calls and they're, you know, answering box, but you're the only one on the door when they get home. That's so they're going to call you.
The only one that took the effort to go see them and see their house.
And it's not hard. You put a goofy door hanger on the door, and you know, you go to 10 homes, it's the same as, to me, but better results than picking up the phone. So thinking out of the box, I've seen a lot of success with.
All right, what else?
So for me personally, I would say that maybe like my personal coaching niche is definitely discipline, perseverance, kind of like that video, like if it burns, let it burn, right? It's all heart from here. Like any of you who have been coached by me, you know that that's kind of like my thing. And of course we talk about real estate, of course we talk about business, but what at least I hope my clients get out of it, and they'd have to answer this, is you know, the confidence that if they have discipline in real estate, they'll also have it with fitness. They'll also have it in their personal relationships, and in truly growing into a better version of themselves everywhere, not just with their business. So that's my thing.
I've been seeing a lot of success lately as we've been just teaching versatility to all clients, coaching, or, you know, group, one-on-one, everything, and it really just taking that step back and learning, okay, don't get flustered, don't get mad. This is how you talk to someone that has this type of personality style. And I'm seeing a lot of wins after people are saying, you know, I waited 10 minutes to send that email. I changed around my wording. I thought about what I was saying. Instead of it being reactionary, it was really well thought out. And I think that it's pretty elementary, but there are so many people that don't understand that, haven't been taught that.
Right, because you haven't been called on it, you don't see it yourself, right? And only somebody that's working with you closely can see that.
Right, and then you know, your conversion goes from a potential 25% to well over 50. So as soon as you learn really how to do that, it's very transformational.
Anybody else want to add anything to that? Good, all right. Question for you. So what honestly, we know that there's options out there for agents, different coaching companies and so forth to work with. And we're not, I mean, you know, I don't say this to speak negatively about the others, but we're very open to the fact that if you don't work with us, you should work with someone, right? Everyone should have a coach. I've since 2005, I haven't went without a coach. You meet any top producer, you know, we put panelists on stage, they all have coaches. So honestly, what is different about working with us versus some of the others? Because you guys have all had a lot of experience with the others, you know, so you don't have to mention any names or anything, but really what is different about what we're doing versus the others?
I've had a lot of experience with the others.
You sure have.
I have. So one of the biggest things that drew me to you is your sales system. Our production for our team is up by 20%, and I credit it a lot to that because I believe us as team owners, we struggle with getting our agents trained and creating a skill set, and the sales system and the workbook is absolutely amazing. So it gives the agents a plug-and-play system. There's homework at the end of each video, and they submit their homework to my leadership, and they're held accountable to their homework. However, I don't have to rely on my office to teach them how to do for sale by owners or build their database. That you have a proven system and model. So I've really enjoyed learning it and teaching it to my clients. But I believe that really is one of the biggest things, and it allows you allow us to coach to the people, not be able to respond to questions. If one of my clients says, what for sale by owner packet do you use, I can send it. So it's super important, and mine are part of my world. They see what my team does. So that's one of the biggest things that I enjoy.
And by the way, when we started working together, I said I only have one criteria, and that is you have to learn and master our system and implement it within your own team, because I can't have you coaching our clients on something that you're not familiar with. And so
we did weekly Zoom calls, and they had to submit all of their homework, and that's why I've seen such a big production hike is we immediately implemented it, and I talk about it, and it's now part of my new agent onboarding that when they join us,
they're going through the system.
They have to go through the system to be able to earn leads to be part of our team.
It's interesting you say that, because we've had a lot of bigger teams from around the country that have reached out to us and said, hey, we want this to be our training platform. Could you put something together for us that we could train our entire team on? So I appreciate you sharing.
It's powerful. It really is. We have a Google Drive that they each upload their homework, and but that is the biggest thing as a team owner. If you don't have something to teach your agents, we're doing it every quarter now.
Love it. Love it. All of you guys have been involved in other coaching programs. So why are we different? What is different?
Just to add to that, I would say the biggest thing is being in the business. I mean, it allows us to be able to make adjustments on the fly, right? We all know that, even let alone 10 years ago, but even 5 years ago, the real estate industry has changed, right? Things are more digital. I mean, you have to be able to make adjustments on the fly. So if you have coaches that are in high production currently, we can obviously offer those adjustments on the fly.
And the biggest example of that for someone like yourself is you've always been expireds, killing it with expireds. And in the last year, we've been talking a lot more. You need to shift your focus to for sale by owners, because there's more for sale by owners opportunity out there. So you've taken that advice, you've applied it yourself, and now you're sharing with your clients how you're doing it, right? Love it. What else?
And then I think, something that I've had a few conversations with people here that have talked about, their previous coaches and how they really didn't follow through. They weren't providing what they needed. It was just kind of a personal phone call each week or whatever it may be. So kind of the nitty gritty of it, I'm going to be very honest, is, we're protective of our time. So if you're not in it, this isn't going to go well, because we still are running a business, and we're here for you. You better show up too. And maybe you don't get that kind of treatment, and we definitely didn't in other companies. So.
Awesome. Did you have anything to add to that, Kate?
I do.
Yeah.
So honestly, everything that they said is completely accurate, and I would just argue that all of our coaches, all of us sitting up here, all of us involved with growth and development, I would challenge anybody in here to find a group of people more passionate about you and your growth. I mean, we call it the Glover U family because truly that's what it is to us. Like, you guys were at the bonfire last night. I was sitting in this room having a very intense one-on-one with one of our clients until 7:45 last night. So understand that, our phone doesn't shut off. We don't clock out. When you hire us, we're in your world to every degree. And we're there for you, for the ups, for the downs. We're riding right next to you, pulling you forward and getting you there. And honestly, I would challenge you to find that in any other group of people that are developing your growth.
Yeah.
Well, they become part of the family, not just a coaching client.
Oh,
I know
1,000%.
all mine can
Yeah,
testify to
1,000%.
that.
Yeah.
Well, let's hear it for our coaches. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for taking time to join Jeff today on the Live Unreal with Glover U podcast. To get started on having an unreal business, take the real estate self-assessment. After you complete the assessment, a member of Glover U will get on a call with you to create an action plan to improve your score. Go to www.gloveru.com/self. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe. Search for Live Unreal with Glover U on iTunes, Podbean, or Spotify, and subscribe today. Until next time, remember, don't take constructive criticism from someone who has never constructed anything.